Hello everybody, Perco here with this week's Pontification. The subject this week is goals. No, not the World Cup that just went. Talking about the goals that we set ourselves or other people set for us during our lives. And it's something we seem to spend an awful lot of time focusing on. Trying to figure out how we arrive at those points, achieve those goals. Now, you'll have to excuse me going to my notes. The old brain cells are not functioning the way they used to. So when I was a child, when we're all children, our tasks that we're put in front of us are educational ones. And in my case, it was the GCSEs, O-levels, A-levels, that sort of thing. Well, I was an absolute dunce when I went to school. So the greatest thing I could achieve was what they called was an RSA, Royal School of something, and I think they gave me a pass mark on arithmetic, just to stop me from feeling like a complete failure as opposed to just a partial failure. Anyway, I digress. So what I'm talking about is the focus that we have for most of our lives on achieving education, promotion at work, financial goals. Maybe we want to get on the housing ladder, or we want to get a car, make a holiday. But there's always something there that we're thinking about working towards. So if you don't have those tasks or things that you're aiming at, people will say, if you're not focusing on that sort of thing, you're lazy, which is a definite bad thing to be said to you. So it's something that we have to keep thinking about a lot. But when you get a bit older, as you do, and you're not so focused on things in the future, you think, maybe today I'm going to take a day when I'm not doing anything. Now, I had a visit the other day, last Monday, from one of my subscribers named Craig. A very nice visit. And I asked him, what did you think of my last pontification? And he said, well, and I could tell he didn't want to sound like he's being critical. I said, no, come on. How can I improve if you don't tell me what you think? So, actually, anybody's got anything to say, please don't think I'm going to be insulted if you say something negative. I won't. I will listen to it. I may ignore it, of course, but at least I'll listen and I won't be upset. Anyway, what Craig said is my pontification seemed to be going all over the place and I wasn't following a track. Well, I'm afraid that's the way my brain works. But mostly why I do these is not to follow a straight thread. I just talk about how I think, and what I'm hoping that you're going to do is you're going to pick up on some of the things I say. Maybe some weeks I talk about a lot of statistics and so on, and you pick on it and you think, wow, I didn't know that. I think I'm going to look into that. And you do. But the main reason I do this is so that it will set you thinking. Because to be perfectly honest, most of the stuff on the internet today is all about just keeping you entertained. And half of it is made by a machine. And of course you can tell by the way I do mine, I'm definitely not AI. Okay, I would just want to say about a conversation I had once with my dad. Now, I knew him a long time, but because of his generation, which went through both wars and the pandemic in 1918 and the Depression in 1926, the focus of my parents was to make sure that I was educated, a bit of a failure, and that I would have a better life than them, because my father in particular grew up in the slums of London. One of the things I remember saying to him, and I don't really know why I said it to him, was, you can't do nothing, can you? And he looks at me and he says, I can read. I said, no, that's not what I mean. I say, you can't actually do nothing. You can't stop doing something where there's a goal at the end of it. And he didn't say anything, and we never talked about it again. So that is always one of the things in my life that I regret, is I never spent enough time finding the time to talk to him. Anyway, I'm going off the tangent here a bit. So the other points I wanted to make is that what do I do when I get to a point where I'm thinking, I don't think I'm doing anything today, and those sorts of days come more often. And I start trolling the internet and watching various videos done by other people. And one in particular that took my interest was Neil deGrasse Tyson, who, for anybody who doesn't know, is really into science, tech, and space. And he was talking about when you're dead, you're dead. And I thought, oh yeah. So I just followed what he was saying. And as far as he was concerned, you're either alive or you're dead. There's no middle ground. And yet I've read plenty of information that says that there is a stage in between where you can be out. You can be in a surgery room where the machines say that you're dead, but you have an out-of-body experience. I've read lots of stories about that. And you actually float above what's going on. You can see what they're all doing to you. And then, voila, you're back in there. I don't know why. I don't suppose anyone knows or will ever know why that happens. They just know they do. So what is the point of where I'm going with this week? Very simple. Take some time out. Put down the tasks that you've set yourself and the goals that you've set yourself, and just spend some time being in the moment, being present. Because when you come back to all your tasks, they're still there, they haven't gone away, but you've spent an hour, half a day, whatever, being quiet and settled and rested. A state that you will never be if you're always thinking about what you're going to do next. Anyway, that's my pontification for this week. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it made you think, maybe that's interesting, and I'll think about it. Anyway, see you next week. Ta-ra for now.